Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Whole of 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the one that all of us, we covered. Constitution was just not a buzzword, it was a rallying cry, and I'm happy that it made a lot of us look into this red book with a lot of gratitude, because this is one force that holds the country together. Today we are here to talk about constitutional bodies. They are expected to uphold our democratic rights, but they are trusted. Are they transparent? Are they under pressure? And what should we do to ensure that they are better equipped to deal not just with political pressures, but also with public expectations? I have a set of luminaries here with me, and I'm going to let them do all the talking, because this is the best panel I've had in, I don't know, many years. Mr. Singhvi, let me start with you first. Just to set the context right, which are the most important constitutional bodies in the country that are very essential for the working of our democracy? What are the challenges that you foresee for them?
Well, let me start the first part of the answer to your question by asking a very interesting question I ask most audiences, Indian and foreign, for which there is really no real answer, except perhaps good luck. And that is, just imagine, India is the only country emerging from a group of 30 to 40 newly independent countries from colonial masters, imperialism of British, Dutch, French, Belgian imperialism between the 1930s and 60s, and it has remained as the only country with a vibrant democratic spirit. And that, I think, is no mean achievement. Nobody has a real answer why, against all odds. Everybody had written us off. So I think that's something we have to cherish. Now, why the answer to your question is based there is that clearly it is because of the non-institutional and the institutional pillars of Indian democracy that we have achieved this, when around us, all the neighbors, you have the wrecks and ruins of constitutionalism. You look in South Asia, you look elsewhere in Middle East, you look at South America, you look everywhere. So the non-institutional pillars, according to me, are more important, but you are asking about the institutional pillars. But we must not forget that secularism, a word which goes very closely with it, underemphasized by us, fraternity and federalism, are three non-institutional, thought-based or value pillars. But now to your question about institutional pillars, we need to examine and see the great glory of our pillars and also the challenges before them. Clearly, judiciary is one pillar. Parliament is another. The Election Commission is a third. Maybe the CAG is a fourth. And you can add more pillars like that. In a sense, the anonymity is its best ornament, but the army is a sixth pillar also. So these are the pillars which have taken us as the sole example, as an exceptional example out of 30 to 40 countries, none of which emerging from the yoke of imperialism were very independent or democratic.
Right. Justice Gavai, you've always said that Constitution is the supreme force. Tell me a little bit about what is the strength that our constitutional bodies have today, and have you seen them in the course of the last 10 years in some ways weakening in some ways?
Thank you for referring to that statement, because you might be aware that some time back there was a statement by the then constitutional functionary that the judiciary is not supreme, but it's the parliament which is supreme. And on various forums I had an occasion to speak, and I said that neither the parliament nor the judiciary is supreme. What is supreme is the Constitution of India. And all the three bodies, the legislature, the parliament, and the executive and the judiciary, work under the areas which are earmarked for them by the Constitution. And no doubt that at times there is some friction, some overlapping. But I don't think that the criticism that the judiciary has weakened in the last 10 years or so is correct. That's a narrative which, according to me, is not based on factual position. Dr. Singhvi is with us in my judicial career of more than 22 years and 6.5 years at the Supreme Court. I might have decided many matters, some in favor of the governments, some in favor of the citizens against the government. And the narrative that unless a judge decides all the matters against the government, he is not an independent judge, is my view not correct. because the judges decide the matters on the basis of the facts that are placed before them and apply the law and the constitutional provisions as are applicable to those facts.
That's very important. Mr. Quraishi, talking about the Election Commission of India, even a normal procedure like the SIR, which has been done multiple times in the country, has now become politically controversial. What do you think has led to scrutiny of a body like EC in a way like this?
Actually, when I hear any criticism of the Election Commission of India, I personally feel hurt and injured, as if somebody is slapping me. There is no denying the fact that the reputation of the Election Commission, which was sky high once upon a time, has gone to the pits. And although it is awkward for me to say that because I have been there and some people will say, look, you thought your times were great, but this is the public opinion. That's what we hear in the media. And I remember Chief Justice J.S. Verma used to make the very shocking the statement in public speeches, and I have heard him 3-4 times, that there was a time when there were two most credible institutions in the country, Election Commission and the Judiciary, in whatever order. And he used to say that I'm very happy to say that only one is left. And which one was left? He meant the Election Commission. Now that was the standing and that was the structure. But SIR, which is happening here currently, it has to my mind, it is absolutely unnecessary. It is total harassment of the people, because the same electoral roll, which was valid till January this year, on which basis the last general elections were held last June and the government has been formed, it has been put into the waste paper basket. Now, if it was so bad, should we countermand the last election? Because it was done on the basis of a useless electoral roll. So, secondly, as I've been hearing from Yogendra Yadav very rightly, there's an intensive revision. Actually, it is no revision. The old one is in the waste paper basket. They're enumerating you, they're finding the voters ab initio from initially. Now, what is wrong with that? It has taken us 30 years to come to 99% accuracy. The last SIR was done in Bihar in 2003, and after this, SIR, so-called SIR, same Election Commission of the time, and one or two of them are still around, they decided that SIR in future will not be required, should not be done, because already the electoral rolls are digitized. And what we need to do, and we'll do in the next, in future, which is what we have been doing, that we come to you with the electoral roll. Look, this is your house, these are the 4 voters, these are the names. Do you have any objection? If you want to change anyone, here is the form. If you want to add, delete or whatever. So that is how we have to do summary revision, which used to make the electoral perfect. Now, 8 crore people were made to run around to find foreigners. And how many foreigners were found? 500, of which 150 were Bangladeshis, 350 were Nepali Hindu women who came by marriage. Now, to find 150 foreigners, you made 8 crore people harassed, and that is what you're going to do with 100 crore people in the future. So, to my mind, that's
Mr. Quraishi, you have a point here. Talking about the SIR, Mr. Singhvi, your party leaders, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, talk about retribution justice, retroactive laws, and they, in some ways, give a warning to election commissioners of India. Now, what Mr. Quraishi is saying is a valid point. There are 2 ways to this. But, this aspect about retroactive laws, you will be punished later for something that you did. Does that also not threaten the positional immunity that constitutional heads have?
I think you are misquoting the persons you are naming. Nobody has talked of retributive justice. In fact, these 2 words are oxymorons. Retributive justice really doesn't fit in. What they have said repeatedly is that institutions are ultimately only as good or bad as the persons who man them or woman them. And those who are there should remember that they have history to answer for. They have the people to answer for, they have generations to answer for. Nobody has used that phrase. As far as retroactive is concerned, I don't think anybody used retroactive. It was used in the context that when, about a few months ago, not only the people you named, but across the political spectrum of the opposition. Many people said that we have had election commissioners of varying qualities and differing hues and colors, but we have not had a chief election commissioner who is so antagonistic or adversarial in his press conferences as if he's dealing with a political adversary when he deals with the opposition. So when they made the comment, shortly a few weeks after that, you had this very interesting amendment to the law by the central government, a kind of an indemnity created. That itself is a very defensive reaction. It was to create either an arc of immunity or to reassure the people who are incumbent that look, you keep on doing what you are doing, howsoever good, bad or indifferent, we are giving you a statutory arc of immunity. So I think people should remember, everybody, all of us, I mean these are judges of Supreme Court, former judges, everybody remembers this, Election Commission is only another body, that nobody is above the law, nobody is above the law permanently. And I think you have both law to answer to and successive generations to answer to.
Absolutely.
I think that's a valid point to make. There is nothing like retributive justice there.
Justice Gavai, how would you suggest a system that puts checks and balances in place so that people who hold constitutional posts don't just value their positional immunity but are also faithful to the Constitution?
No, our Constitution itself provides for accountability. Like the Parliament, the executive has, after a period of 5 years, to go back to the electorate and answer what the promises and whether they are performed or not. The executive is also accountable to the Parliament. About judiciary, it has been said that judiciary is not accountable to anyone, but we are always accountable to our conscience. We are accountable to the constitutional values. And if all the wings act within the spheres allotted to them, I don't think that there should be any issues.
Okay. Mr. Quraishi, as a former EC, do you think this kind of attack on election commissioners, is that an essential check on their duties, or do you think this is avoidable?
Are you asking whether there is a check on our duties? Or?
No. I'm asking the opposition's attack on the election commissioner, specifically,
Yes.
personalized.
Well, opposition has every right to express its concerns. Every right. In our time, they used to come on a daily basis with their delegation. And in our time, my policy was that I was always with the underdog, and opposition is the underdog. The government is very powerful, they can get anything done. It's the opposition which requires hand-holding and sympathy. And let me remind you, throughout the 6 years, the opposition to whom I was very soft and kind was the BJP. They should not forget that. And on their complaint, I charge sheeted 4 Congress ministers, the government which had appointed me, including the law minister of the land who had issued my nomination appointment letter. So that was the kind of neutrality which is expected, what was expected of us and which is expected of the current incumbent. And a lot depends on the individual conscience.